Real quick, we have a new shirt in our shop, the Knee of Justice, but only for one more week. If you like it, the link is in the description and at the end of this video. That's it, and now please enjoy the video. Smash 4 has over 50 different characters to choose from. Naturally, some of them are going to be better than others, but in general, Smash 4 is one of the better balanced Smash titles, at least compared to its predecessors. Unfortunately, it's impossible to have a perfectly balanced game, especially with a roster as diverse as Smash 4's. Almost every character has a unique set of attacks, different recoveries, weight or amount of jumps, which means that you will always find some mechanics that completely counter another one. I'm C5 from the Beefy Smash Dudes, and we don't just want to look at the simply worst matchups in the game, because that would be boring. Just take the 5 worst characters against the best and that's it. No, we want to find the 5 matchups that are not necessarily the worst, but the most annoying, least fun and friendship-crushing matchups in Smash 4. So we are looking for matchups where certain mechanics completely counter their opponent and basically ruin a matchup. And the best example for this is probably our number 5, Rosalina vs Ness. This matchup is widely known as kinda bad for Ness because of one simple reason: Rosalina's gravitational pull. This ability absorbs all kinds of projectiles, and as we know, Ness's only recovery tool aside from his jumps is a projectile. So he just dies if he has to use his up special, and that's where things become a little interesting. Some Ness players actually claim that this matchup isn't even as bad as many think, and there might be some truth to that. Experienced Ness players are really good at playing around that big weakness of Ness and barely ever have to rely on his up B. They fake out their opponents, stall or grab the ledge early using down B, or just abuse Ness's ridiculous air dodge. And if Ness can avoid getting gimped and stay on the stage, the matchup looks much more doable. Now, there's another matchup with a similar counter mechanic: Ness versus Villager and his pocket. Similar to Rosalina, Villager can simply pocket Ness up special, but in general, Rosalina is a much stronger character than Villager. Also, she has quite some range and is pretty good at keeping her opponents off stage or gimp them even without using her gravitational pull. And on top of all of that, the gravitational pull has a huge hitbox, even bigger than Villager's pocket. Number 4 is a matchup some of you might not expect: Pacman against Little Mac. Little Mac is most comfortable on the ground, he might even have one of the best ground games in Smash 4. But his aerial game is so bad that even though he is that strong on the ground, people usually still consider him a mid-tier character at max. Now, Pacman has a few things going for him in this matchup. First of all, he can use his projectiles to pressure opponents from a distance. Secondly, the hydrant helps him with that even more, creating a kind of barrier for more protection, and even pushes opponents away with water. But the most frustrating and difficult mechanic for Lil Mac to deal with is this little trampoline. Pacman's up B forces opponents into the air if they try running over it. You can't roll behind it, you can't attack it, it doesn't deal damage or anything like that, so for most characters that's not a problem, but for Lil Mac this is a problem. Whenever there's a trampoline between him and Pacman, he has to either jump over it by himself or take the trampoline, but both of these options put him into a horrible position. Any somewhat good Pacman will always punish Lil Mac for leaving his comfort zone, the ground. And while Lil Mac waits for the trampoline to disappear, Pacman just charges his neutral B or sets up another hydrant. Additionally, every time Pacman shields anything from Lil Mac, he can punish with an up B out of shield, creating the same situation over and over again. The matchup is bad enough as it is if Pacman decides to platform camp using all of his projectiles, but with this little trick it becomes so much worse. Our third place is a more explosive matchup, Maronite vs Jigglypuff. Maronite is a character that relies heavily on his up air ladders. At certain percents, he can carry his opponents higher and higher, finishing them off with an up special, and as a general rule of thumb, the floatier a character is, the easier it is for MK to successfully pull this off. And Jigs is the floatiest and lightest character in the game, making her Maronite's most vulnerable victim. After only taking 5 to 10 damage, Jigglypuff is already in kill percent. If Maronite now hits a dash attack, it's over. At a bit higher percent, if Maronite gets a grab, it's over. Yeah, sure, if she manages to not die and reach a little higher percent, like 40 or 50, she is temporarily out of the danger from these setups, but she might also get caught by just an up air, which means, yeah, she's dead. And at around 70 to 80%, dash attack and down throw start connecting again, not into up air, but directly into up B. Basically, Jigs is almost constantly in kill percent, and it also doesn't help that she is one of, if not the worst character in the game. This matchup is truly soul-crushing, believe me, I've been there. On second place, we have another projectile machine against a fatty, Mega Man vs King Dedede. Yeah, he's fat, but he has good range, okay run speed and even a projectile. But Mega Man has a wall of projectiles. He is one of the few characters that can constantly bombard his opponents with projectiles. Especially his neutral air slash jab slash forward tilt shoots at a really fast rate. Now usually that isn't really too broken, since the pellets have little to no knockback and not that much range, but against Dedede that's more than enough. King Dedede has a really hard time catching Mega Man, mostly because of all those little pellets. Dedede's airspeed is slow, so avoiding projectiles through jumping over them is not really an option. Even if Dedede makes it above him, Mega Man can just keep him in the air with his up air and then reposition. And King Dedede's projectile, the Gordos, forget about them, because the slightest touch of any of Mega Man's projectiles will send the Gordos flying right back into Dedede's face. Not being able to break through so many projectiles can be really frustrating and makes this one of the least fun matchups in the game. Before we get to our number one, it's time for an honorable mention, and this time we only have a single one. Bayonetta vs you. That's right, because you still complain and you still can't SDI properly after all the effort we put into teaching it, you lazy little piece. And finally, our number one most frustrating matchup in Smash 4, the fastest against the slowest, Sonic vs Ganondorf. Sonic is well known for sometimes being a campy character. Yes, he is the fastest, but exactly that makes camping and playing defensive so good with him. It's really hard to catch up to Sonic, especially if he makes good use of spin dash cancels. And well, many characters might struggle with that, but Ganon is the absolute slowest of them all. Additionally, he has not a single projectile to throw at Sonic, and his range also isn't even that great. If the Sonic player really decides to play as campy as possible, there is barely anything Ganon can do. Sonic is simply too fast and can pretty much react to anything Ganon tries doing by either shielding or just spin dashing through him. This move is even invincible at the startup, which means that even if Ganon manages to catch up to him with a slightly faster attack like dash attack or down special, Sonic can simply spin dash right through him. This matchup is absolutely one of the biggest pains I ever had to play, and my Ganon isn't even that bad. Just saying. And that was our top 5 least enjoyable matchups in Smash 4. Don't forget to check out our Knee of Justice shirt. It's available in tons of different colors that you can look at on Spreadshirt. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you disagree with our list, let us know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, see you soon, and stay beefy.